Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, welcome to the most stylish showdown on the air. It's time for... That's a cheering sound. Stud or Chud, the show where clothing meets culture and Jones reach the chopping block. Our cherished and storied guests, Dan Weejawnz and John Weejawnz. Our judges, I guess I should ask how you are. It's Apocalypse Studs. This is Connor Fowler. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and this seems like
been a while.
Do-over because it is. This is probably our fourth attempt.
Part of me was excited for it, though. I really missed our conversation after the last time, and anytime I listen to the podcast, I'm like, oh man, I wish I could chime in.
I know. This is our obligatory. It's really fucking difficult to record an all-remote podcast. 3, me, Connor, and a guest is one level. Having 2 guests at one time is woo. Or sorry, 2 or more is just not the simplest thing.
I was gonna sandbag and purposely miss it again as a bit, just to keep it alive. So
maybe next time
with you guys. Good to be chatting.
Maybe next time I'll come up to Baltimore and do it in person.
Yeah, there we go.
That would be tight. Yeah, we recorded one episode at my house, and it was like there were like police helicopters and like sirens. And stuff,
yeah.
And it's just,
it was also like, if I'm remembering correctly, it was right as the previous like hosting platform that we used to record changed their shit, and so we had to scramble. And yeah, it was fun. But yeah, welcome to the show, y'all. Thank you for coming back on. And
yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, let's start the fucking stud or chud. First up on the chopping block, we have black denim.
Oh man, I'll let John lead off here.
Hell yeah! No, I'm on board. That's my new thing for this fall, and it's been really exciting to see other folks really picking up on black denim. Yeah, stud for sure.
You were doing it. You pitched it to me, even. Yeah.
You got to join me.
Good. I think that's good. Yeah, and black jeans are cool.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think I like the subversive element of them, and I don't know why. I feel like I have almost like a '90s country music connotation with them too for some reason.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like I remember my dad wearing them when I was younger.
Like Tim McGraw, Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Those Marty Stewart. Those guys definitely rock some black denim. Pretty regular.
Kind of depends on the belt too and the shoe.
Yeah.
If they don't wear, then what's the point?
Right. I have myself come to embrace black more. I prefer a little bit more faded to super dark, but yeah,
definitely.
I'll co-sign that. Yeah, I mean, I will admit I do not own a pair, but it's on the radar, and I agree with you, Matt. I mean, a faded black denim is essentially kind of like a gray anyway. So
right, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things, John. I think you hit it on the head. It is subversive, especially for anyone that comes out of skateboarding or fucking punk or metal or whatever.
Don't they only wear black? Isn't that the whole point?
At certain times, sure, but we all have had our black Dickies and black, too small T-shirt phase. At least I have.
Oh yeah, I wore all black when Trump won. I wore all black every day for 2 years.
Your morning fits.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. It was convenient. I mean, I could wear a sweatsuit, and a fishtail parka.
Yeah.
So are you saying if I get black jeans, I'll look like Aaron Levine or Aaron Levine?
You would look good, don't you think?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
They're on the radar. Let's.
You have those long legs.
I don't know. That's the other thing. I mean, you got to get the cut right. I mean, I'm not going to be wearing some 5'10s.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out.
No.
I'll give a shout out to my my buddy Matt Lambert, who does Factors Collection. He incorporates a lot of black, but also a lot of midnight blue and things of that nature. And I'm every time I see him, he has a horsehide pair of trousers that he wears with a midnight jacket, and I'm like, fuck, that was cool.
They're really like beautiful. A lot of the stuff is really, really like thoughtful.
Oh yeah, I would expect nothing less. All right, black denim is a cosign for both a stud. So Connor, you take the next one.
Sure. We wanted to talk about Brooks Brothers. I think stuff has kind of changed since the 5 years ago when we recorded the first one of these. So we can start with Dan this time because we're about equality.
Just Brooks in general, or
Stud or chud? I mean, is it worth wearing? Who gives a shit about Brooks Brothers anymore? We don't
I
know.
mean, I don't know, like pre 2005 potentially. I will give stud, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything really on my wish list from a current offering in many seasons. I'll put it that way. I I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some value in like some knitwear potentially if it's still made in Great Britain, which I doubt it. But um, yeah, I mean, pre 2005 for sure. But
Yeah, I would.
I'm with
So
Dan on
like
this.
a year ago, I think you could recommend to somebody getting a Brooks OCBD relatively inexpensively. That is like not true at all anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
last
to an
year,
extent, like you could still do
I
you could
see
still do
them
owl
selling for
size.
like $80 to $120.
It depends on though if it's a actual all cotton or like made somewhere.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all
Oh,
cotton.
just not the fucking.
The ones that are worthwhile. I mean, you used to
Right.
be able to get them for cheap. Now they're fucking expensive. That's the story.
I have really weirdly strong feelings on this because for a couple of
Save the
years,
best for last.
like up until like last year, I was recommending their made in Vietnam ones that they were doing because you could buy them on sale for like $45. They were kind of oversized in the fit, and they were great. I mean, when you got them for $45, you couldn't really beat them. And then recently, I think they retired those, and now it's some new like Friday Oxford shirt or something like that. That's kind of like a shorter cut meant to be untucked that I'm not about.
Sick.
And then they're starting to bring back like the number one sack suit, which is, I mean, it's cool that they're heading in the right direction, and they're starting to bring back some more like Harris Tweed stuff, but it's still just not there for me. The lapels always look a little off on the suits, and then I'm a big fan
Jackets,
of the old fun shirts, and they brought it back recently, and I was really excited, but it's just not good. It's just like some really ugly colors. Like it's so simple to just do like the blue, red, yellow, green fun shirt, and they're
what's
doing
up
some
with-
weird like grays and I don't know what
Yeah.
else it is. I'm just like keep it simple.
You
And I'm
have
in.
to innovate on something that already is good.
Yeah. To me, I feel like Brooks overall these days has reached like Macy's in the mall status, which I'm sure that is
I
a
think
lot of
that's
their
good,
clientele. But it's like,
They
things
used
that,
to be prestige.
yeah, there used to be prestige. Like they used to be, at least in the tailored clothing world, like very relevant. And now, I don't know if it's because like the skinny suit is still holding on to mainstream shit. Like it's finally reached the point where that's like the go-to instead of the terrible business suit that should have died a long time ago. But it still doesn't look good for the most part.
Yeah, I mean all the lookbooks are real. They're rough.
Oh, I can imagine.
I don't know if
Yeah.
Michael listens to the show. If you're listening, Michael, we got to stop with the lobsters and the anchors, etc. So
Yeah.
I mean they have. I mean their archive is incredible. I wish they would.
Yeah, why don't they just produce stuff
It's-
from the archive
it's
one to
because-
one?
I've worked with a lot of like I've worked with Southwick, who made Brooks Brothers since the dawn of time, essentially. Like I've worked with these old school manufacturers, and they never have, and seemingly never will, be able to or realize that like, hey, we need someone that actually knows something to like be creative in this in this role. Like none of these companies have anyone that has like any connection to modern times, and so they do the same stuff for so long, and then it's like they shift and try to like be this super
see, they
trendy
have to
thing.
do it. Yeah.
And it's like, yo, you're 15 years behind the trend, dude. Yeah.
But they also like couldn't have been relevant really in the, I don't know, I feel like in the hashtag menswear times it
I
was
mean,
like
I mean, they have
that-
like the red fleece label. I feel like they
Yeah,
they
like-
were leaning into it, and they've just never come out of it.
like Black Fleece was incredible to me. Like
yeah,
the top
no,
round.
right. I mean, that was good and it was innovative, right? Even if it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
necessarily
but,
for the
like,
traditional
you know-
customer, this was great.
You know, like some of that stuff does look dated, but some of it is also just like, oh shit, like that could still be like entirely relevant 15 years on or whatever. I think the first Black Fleece collection was like 08 or maybe 09. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
I just think it's funny. Like people were saying these suits are slim, they are modern, they will
Yeah,
be
but-
forever.
But they're
You know,
also
that's always what it is. It's
they're
always
also
forever.
Timeless.
they're nearly
Right, timeless.
identical to the 60s heyday of Ivy, like cut and details. And like, yeah, that stuff can look dated sometimes, but like there's enough crossover with like more modern shit and like super soft shoulder and whatnot. Like I'm not a big fan of sack jackets or like hook center vents, but you know, there's ways that they could have kept that going because it does harken back to like what they're best at. I don't know.
Yeah.
Brooks,
Yeah,
you
not
wanna-
to derail this whole conversation, but circling back to what you're saying, Matt, about designers. Ivy Style did an article recently with J Press's creative designer, director, whatever it is, and it was just not good. Right? I mean, there's no real like vision to move things forward. But I think this has also been a complaint in the Ivy Style community forever, right? I mean, you don't get a lot of innovation from the kind of old guards, and you see it more from other shops. And I keep coming back to All Blues Co. as somebody who I think is doing a lot of really, really cool stuff. That, I mean, it's a bit too expensive, I think, for me to buy. I'd rather just go buy vintage stuff, but I think they do a lot of really cool Ivy stuff.
Totally. Okay, so the next stud or chud, and I think we all collectively agree Modern Brooks Brothers is chud. But the next one hits home for me because it's one of the things I passionately hate.
One of a very few things.
As George Carlin says, I don't have pet peeves, I have psychotic fucking hatreds. And this is one of those. The Kilty Tassel Loafer.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think, aren't we talking about the hierarchy of loafers since the
Okay,
named,
maybe
named after a
well,
loafer?
True.
Right?
Okay.
Weejawnz?
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that isn't even as established
Well,
as Apocalypse Stud, for example.
Let's make this a two-part question. So first of all, stud or chud, Kilty Tassel. The other part of that being the tassel hierarchy. John, since you have loafing in your handle, this is yours.
100% a stud. I feel like this is a targeted question. I mean,
Wait, you're saying the Kilty Tassel was a stud?
oh yeah. Well, so like,
Oh.
so I have to preface this by saying, I think Kilty loafers, like outside of like deck shoes, are the only shoe I saw my dad wear for like 25 years. And it was like the pair of loafers that he gave me when I went off to college. He was like, here, like have my old pair. So I wore them some in college. I ditched them for a while, and I've started wearing them again recently when I found a pair at the thrift shop. I like them. I don't know why. I think there's something charming about their ugliness, which there is
They're
no doubt.
fratty, dude. They're fratty.
kinda-
I love them also. I don't own any. No one will let me have them.
Well, so the other thing about this,
verboten.
though, is that you can buy like the older Cole Haan ones for dirt cheap on eBay, and they're really good, right? Like some of them are kind of junky, but like some of the older like Italian and made in America stuff is like legitimately good.
Right.
So even if you don't like the style, which is fine, whatever, then no, I still like them. I will say I don't think they're the best tassel loafer. I think that goes to the regular tassel loafer, but yeah, sign me up for Kilties.
Okay, all right. And yeah, so for you, what's the hierarchy?
I mean, I think it's got to be all that's tassel loafer first, right? And then I'll say Kilties. The ones that I
666?
really, Yeah, well, yeah.
666 is the brown suede. 662
Dark,
I think is the tan one.
I've got. I mean, you guys know I can do like a whole rant on just Alden stuff. No, not my favorite one. Too dark of a brown. The ones that really get me though are the ones that are like the plain strap penny loafers that have the tassel on them. I don't mess with those. The Venetian style ones without a strap, I'm cool with those. But yeah, for me, it goes kind of the traditional tassel loafer, then the kiltie, then the Venetian, and then the whatever the basic penny loafer is.
Okay. All right. Dan, what is?
Okay.
I'm a little demoralized by John saying that kiltie tassels are a stud, but
wow, dude.
This is not meant. I'm not. I don't want John to catch a stray on this, but I said on this new iteration of it, I'm not going to try to split the difference. So I'm just going to come in with a hot take. So I will go with Chud. I don't know. I think it's
nice.
At times it's just hard. It's hard enough just to wear a loafer. I think like outside of the office, period, to the point where it's like, well, for some, but for me personally, at times, for better or for worse. So
The
I
shorts have
don't
got
know.
to come up
I don't think
higher,
I
man,
can.
and you can wear a loafer whenever you want.
I know, brother, but I mean, just saying, I'm not rolling up to my kid's soccer game in loafers, and certainly not kilty loafers. So,
Yeah.
I just, if I had a huge closet, maybe, but
You don't have to chase a child in loafers. I mean,
I don't.
I do it
And I
as
know
a
John's a
job.
dad too, so it's just that's just kind of my own prerogative there. But yeah,
Yeah, of
I just don't
course.
know if the ceiling is all that high on them. Like, I mean, you really got to nail it, I think,
Yeah.
to to pull them off. Whereas the floor could be quite low. So
I think they're funny. They're like a funny shoe. It's like I think they probably predate laced shoes.
I had a pair like fairly recent. Like I can't remember the model. They were Allen Edmonds, but it was actually. I mean, talk about a Frankenstein. It was a tassel basket weave kiltie.
I love that. I love that. I think
So,
those are
I
great.
mean, there was just so much going on these
Yeah,
suckers.
it's like too much.
So,
Well, the first person to come up with that, like the first cobbler to be like, my masterpiece, I combined everything.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. It's like 1700.
Right.
yeah, so I flipped those, and yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna be pining to get another pair anytime soon.
I'm gonna find some
They look
tonight.
good on you,
I know
John.
I am.
I worked with a guy years ago. His name was Jerry. Great and funny ass dude. He was really into smooth jazz.
Good sign.
And he previously had, I think, managed a Joseph A. Bank. So if that gives you a little insight into his overall style, I will say it did evolve in a good way. But anyway, so we called him Jay Smooth, and he wore a kilty tassel 4 days a week, and I was just like, this is the worst shoe I've ever seen in my life. Just consistently in my face every single day. And I'm just
Did he have a ponytail?
He did not have a ponytail, but he did wear transition lens glasses. So
I'm catching a lot of strays here. I don't have a ponytail right now, but I can. You know what? For you, I'll post a ponytail with some guilty tassels.
You aren't. It isn't your default state to have the ponytail, though, right? Because you keep it.
Your hair just looks more Hesher than like dude holding on to youth to me.
Yeah, I think it was on the Kroll show. They had that sketch Ponytails. It was like 5 different guys with ponytails, a lot of cats, very nice.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I derailed that a little bit. But Dan, what's your loafer hierarchy?
I mean, I'd probably say penny first and foremost.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's just the easiest one to roll with. Then I guess I'd go tassel then bit. I mean, bit's a little throwy, but I think you can shoehorn them in, pun intended.
Yeah. Okay. I can get that.
We definitely got to get the video of that one.
We
got a really funny show for you.
If we're doing the generic loafer one, I'm with Dan. I think the classic penny loafers got to be up there. The full straps are way down low for me though.
Oh, full straps are another one that I really fucking hate. I don't think that, I don't know, there's probably some cool old Italian or Japanese dude that wears full straps and looks amazing in them. To me, it just reads bad, like 80s, 90s corporate office bad.
It's a strong look. What about shirt pockets on Oxfords? I mean, we have talked about this on the show before. People have feelings about them.
Does anybody not like them?
Fuck yeah. Ralph doesn't like them. Okay, like most Ralph shirts don't have them, and that's a
Fair.
huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, that you're right. My big shirts have it though. No, you gotta have a pocket, right? There was that era where Brooks Brothers dropped the pocket and everybody lost their minds for good reason.
Yeah, I have one of those. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
When I was a smoker, it's like you can fit a smartphone and a pack of cigarettes in there.
Yeah,
Very.
I'm a smoker and I carry a pen every day, so I need a fucking shirt pocket.
I love the pen.
Yeah, always.
I almost bought like a fountain pen. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. My handwriting is really bad.
Yeah. Okay, so John, I think you're overwhelmingly stud on Oxford shirt pocket.
Yeah, I'm pro flaps too.
Pro flap. Yeah, I like a good flap pocket.
Yeah,
I don't
I
have
will
one.
co-sign both of those. It's super annoying not to have the pocket on the shirt. That's where I usually keep my badge because I don't want to be like the guy with the badge hanging on my
The badge lanyard.
waistline.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
just keep it in there. So yeah, if I wear a Ralph Oxford, then I gotta keep it in my other back pocket or gotta shove it somewhere, what have you. I know.
It's a
But yeah, I
pain.
agree with the flap too. And then
I like
have
the
a,
flap.
I don't know. You have a J Press flap, John?
Yeah, I do.
I've got an LL Bean retro one, and it had like a little sewn-in slit, and I didn't really know what that was
Oh,
until
it's for a pen.
It's for a pen. There you
Yep.
go.
Did it also have like a little slit at the top of the pocket, like when it was buttoned?
Yeah, those are the best.
A vape. The vape fits in the pen pocket very nicely.
Yeah.
I will say this:
You could be
Drake's
that person.
That's where I keep my Elf bar.
Yeah. Well, like
Drake's
I would want it I would want it unflapped on one side because I like to put the phone in and out of that pocket. You know.
Get a custom-made shirt with 2 flap pockets.
I have a shirt that has 2. I have a shirt that has 2 pockets on it, and I was like, "This is terrible. Like, I don't want to look like more breasty." I think it's great because you can have it. It's like very convenient.
I'm not a phone in the shirt pocket person, so I don't know. It just feels
It's definitely going to give me some kind of disease at some point because it's really in my shirt pocket a lot.
Wow. All right, guys. Final one. How do we feel about bow ties? Dan, let's start with you.
I am out on those.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, I will leave it to the professionals. I think you can nail it, but again, I think even if you hit every detail, it's only going to look so good. Whereas I think most people, it's just the execution is not there.
Yeah, it gives me barbershop and/or choral ensemble quartet vibes. No matter
libertarian. It's like you're a libertarian. For sure.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like if someone looks like Rivers Cuomo and is wearing like a bow tie and an Argyle vest, I'll give them a pass because, I understand it. But
why do they get a pass?
Well, just from my personal judgment, I'm not going to be like, okay, whatever. And like Dan,
nerds don't get your ire if they're wearing the bow tie.
And like Dan said, some people look really cool in them, and I can get down with that. I've tried them many times, and I'm just like, yeah, I feel like a douchebag. So
maybe if you're 70 plus, I don't know.
Yeah. Also,
that's fair either.
Yeah.
That's ageist. I shouldn't say that, but
if you're kind of like mid-range, like 20s to 60s, I don't know. It's a very particular kind of thing.
It's just tough to do.
They've been co-opted by the right. I'm trying to bring it back.
I love those.
It's like a party around your neck.
And it's like that Kentucky Derby inspo, it's like everyone goes to the Derby party and they just brick so bad.
Yeah.
No, bow ties are great. And look, you have to accept the fact that a bow tie is a bow tie, and it's not from like I'm using, I'm going to say menswear here and not like a hashtag menswear way. It's not like the best choice from like a true menswear way, but I mean, they're charming. When you tie it right.
That's the whole point. It's like a weird non-tie.
But I mean, whatever. I like them.
That's what I'm saying. It's good. It's
yeah.
It's like a who cares.
I think I'd rather go bolo tie.
Bolos are sick.
I think those are cool.
Yeah.
I'll get with my black jeans.
But no, I mean, look, you've got Tom Keene and Bill Nye both rocking bow ties. I will say, I think they need to be small, and I think they have to be like really soft and floppy to really have some character to them, and you need it to be tied well, and kind of, half cocked sideways and whatever.
Yeah, it's got to be fucked up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love bow ties. I've been wearing them since since I started law school. I remember wearing them. And I was working at the Georgia Capitol at the time.
Oh shit!
And I would wear them up there. And then when I moved to DC a couple years after that, I remember wearing bow ties, and I got so many comments from people on wearing bow ties. But they were always overwhelmingly positive. Like people generally respond well to bow ties.
Yeah.
But you can't wear them every day.
No. I don't know if it's like because of fucking Colonel Sanders or something, but like Southerners love a fucking bow tie, and they somehow appreciate that. Not sure why or where that comes from, but yeah, I feel like business suit, bow tie, and like full strap loafers are a big thing in the South.
They're tough to tie too. I'll come out and say it. Like I watched like 4 hours of Instagram videos on how to do it.
100%.
Yeah, I remember doing
my arms
that.
are getting sore. I can't continue to do this. So
yeah, that's my other thing. Like I can tie like a double forehand in about 10 seconds, and a bow tie takes me like 15 minutes to fucking finally get right. So
it's like tying your shoes around your neck.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever tried to tie someone's shoes? Like, I'm sure actually both of you guys have kids,
Yeah,
but like
I had some experience.
And you're a teacher, but like if you try to do it backwards,
it's very hard for me to do, even still that I do it every day.
Yeah, exactly. Like tying a bow tie feels like that to me. Same.
Because you're looking in a mirror, it's like it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But that's what they used to get up to back in the day.
I'll say this,
like,
though.
Look at my fancy neck thing.
I'll say this though. For me, one of my biggest pet peeves is a poorly tied tie.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like a loose knot drives me nuts, and like you got to have a good dimple, and you have to.
You should make a sticker out of that.
Yeah, you really should.
Loose knots drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where my dad, like I remember getting ready for like high school prom or whatever it was, like teaching me how to tie a tie, and not just tying a tie, but being like, look, like. This is how you really get a tight knot. You need to have a dimple. Like, here's how a tie should be. And ever since then, that's like really stuck out to me. And same thing with bow tie. He taught me how to tie a bow tie too. And he's like, look, you got to learn how to like really tighten the knot and get it nice and tight. Because he was like, that's the charm of it.
So you don't like the look of like 4 o'clock in the afternoon with the tie pulled down.
But see, that doesn't bother me as much. As long as the knot is still tight and the dimple is still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our kind of inaugural redo of different things in Stud or Chud. Maybe we'll continue this wonderful little exercise. But yeah, great answers. I like that it wasn't all just total agreement from both of you. It's wonderful.
And you've practiced all of your responses many times.
Yes.
So
many times.
It should have fucking been good.
Right. Yeah, so let's get
Connor
into...
fed me the clues in advance.
Yeah,
I was texting them out.
The conspiracy.
We were betting on it. All the fans are betting on it.
We're sponsored by ABC, who definitely gave the answers to Kamala Harris. Yeah, that joke hopefully ages well. I don't know. But yeah, so...
Dare I ask?
What?
Did someone say that?
Oh, that's a whole thing on the fucking like right at this point. Like the idiots are like, oh, like it was 3-1 for Trump, and I didn't watch the debate. I just kept up with it, via Twitter and a couple of other people just texting me shit. But I was just like, wow, cool. Yeah, we haven't made any progress. Anyway,
we've gone back.
And that's generous.
Yeah, I am being generous. All right, so guys, where are you from and where do you live now? Whoever wants to go first is welcome.
Dan?
Yeah.
Damn it, I was gonna.
I'll hop in there. Yeah, so I am from the Midwest, beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. So born and raised. I guess I'm a little bit of a homer to a degree because,
You know about East St. Louis?
oh, yeah, I'm aware of it.
I mean, you've been over there. I'm just curious.
Well, that's where the casinos are. So, like, East St. Louis is actually across the Mississippi River.
Yeah, I'm reading it like described. Basically.
So Dan, you're saying the West Side is where you spent most of your days?
You could say that. Yeah, I mean, East St. Louis. I mean, it's I don't want to.
Extremely segregated.
Yeah,
I was just wondering what the general.
It's for the most part, it's a blighted area. I
Yeah,
mean, there are casinos over there. It's a lot of industrial, and then
it's like Monsanto poison.
And then unfortunately, yeah, it's just real rundown neighborhoods to an extent. Some other gentlemen clubs are over there that are apparently not legal within the city of St. Louis. So yeah, if you're going across the river, generally it's to gamble or to do some other nefarious type of activity. So I'll leave it at that.
I didn't go to East St. Louis, but I'm curious. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, if you're ever in the area, we'll go over there.
We can check it out.
Yeah, we can do some gambling and yeah, definitely. So again, so born and raised, I went to all school here, went to college here, went to grad school here. So I haven't really ventured out, as far as other cities, post grads. So, but I mean, overall, I mean, it's home. I really like it.
I've been there once. It seems rad.
Do you like Culver's?
I'm sorry.
Do you like Culver's? Is this a restaurant that you go to?
I'm not a huge Culver's guy. In a pinch, yeah.
I thought it was like.
Is that
representative? I don't know. I think we went 3 times. We were there for a week.
Is Culver's like Denny's?
It's kind of like a steak and shake.
It's like a nice hamburger and like good ice cream. Also.
Yeah, kind of like In and Out.
This is what I was curious about because there's real division.
Matt, there's one up 400 by the North Georgia Alamo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm vegan, so they probably don't have a single thing that I can eat.
Not at Culver's, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No.
It's okay. I grew up going to Steak and Shake, so I can kind of imagine what Culver's is like.
Yeah, no, Steak and Shake's great.
Yeah, it was back in the day, like if you're coming home from like an Atlanta Braves game, which is typically when I ate it, but yeah. And Sean, what about you? Where are you from? Where are you from? Where do you live now?
Born and raised in Georgia for the first 22 years of my life. Spent a decent chunk of time in Spain because my mom is Spanish. And then I've been in DC now for about 12 and a half years.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I can call Georgia as much like my one true home anymore. I think it's DC these days.
That's awesome. A lot of good, cool history in DC. So
yeah, it's a cool city. Although I will say, DC has very strong opinions on what a local is.
Yeah. What is the kind of DC definition of local?
I still don't fully understand it, but it's kind of like if you're not born and raised in DC proper, you're not really from DC, right? And
out of Washington.
Yeah, right. People have very strong feelings too. If you're from just across the river in Virginia, some people think that's still DC, and some people don't at all. Right. But yeah, I mean, my kid was born in DC, so I think that gives me at least some claim to being a Washingtonian these days.
I feel like 12 years is also a long time to live in a place.
So. Right. I mean, I'm 35 now, so that's a third of my life.
Yeah, but fuck the haters.
Yeah.
I'm saying good, but I'm saying like my parents are Washingtonians. They're super like excluders, you know? It's like I'm from, and it's like, man.
I mean, I kind of get it though, right? I think like so. Matt'll know like Marietta, Georgia. It's not Atlanta, right? It's effectively a suburb, and I'm from Kennesaw originally, which is just a little bit further out. But like in Georgia, I think you kind of claim Atlanta if you're from like anywhere within like 30 or 40 miles of like downtown proper, because the sprawl is so big.
The Atlanta metro is 90 or so miles from north to south.
It's ridiculous.
It's massive.
When Matt told me that, I was like,
yeah, you can literally you can fit, I believe, the state of Massachusetts in the Atlanta metro area.
Yeah, I believe it.
And probably more New English and Central Atlantic states, but
yeah, and it's an oasis in Georgia too, right? I mean, like once you start to get outside of like Atlanta's like sphere of influence, like you're really in like the heart of the deep south, right? Like the running joke back home is always the difference between Georgia and Alabama is Atlanta.
yeah. I mean, I'll give Birmingham tons of props too. I love that city.
Yeah, no, Birmingham's a cool city, and I mean, there's other big cities, but there's no other Atlanta in the south, right? I mean, you've got Nashville and Richmond and the cool cities, but Atlanta makes Georgia. I'll say, well, at least these days it's changed a lot, but like a much cooler southern city to be in.
Totally.
Southern
Still the best city in the world, in my opinion.
Sure.
Random DC question, but have you ever driven by the Discord house?
The Discord house? What's that?
The record label that Ian MacKaye and Brian Baker started that put out like Minor Threat, Fugazi, Giannis, all that.
No.
Damn.
It's in Nova, I think.
It's in Arlington, I think.
Which is in Northern Virginia.
Yeah,
Nova.
but sorry, Nova. Yeah.
So this is like where I am from, like my whole life.
Yeah, it's funny, like I don't know, something that made me think about it was like I think both Ian and Guy from Fugazi are from like Arlington area, or like, kind of not technically DC, but close enough where like they consider DC home. I don't know, it's just funny how things have changed.
Yeah. I can't claim it, but we're somewhat close to the American Football House in Central.
Oh, really?
I've been by there before.
That's oh man. Okay, that makes up for John never driving by the Discord house.
Did you see that it was recently turned into an Airbnb?
No.
Which is kind of brutal if you think about it.
Oh yeah, I'd seen something. I feel like
everything is brutal if you think about it.
I think someone was trying to like fundraise buying it.
I think they did.
Oh, they did. Oh, and now it's
buying
it. My question is it like an American football themed Airbnb? Because
I'm talking about American football, the band.
Yes.
Yeah. That our audience is well aware.
I'm sure, but like if it's like a Kinsella themed house and it's an Airbnb, I don't. As much as Airbnb kind of sucks, I don't know if I could totally hate it.
I would assume so. I think it probably is tinged that way, but yeah, I think the guys did buy it along with some guys from the record label.
Okay, so well, that's cool, cooler at least.
Cooler, yeah, but it's still
we
like
have a government
Airbnb aspect of it. It kind
preserves
of
buildings. I mean,
yeah, it should be a fucking national monument.
Yeah, it should just be a hostel for dudes touring.
Yeah. Dude, that's a great idea.
But yeah, I guess that doesn't really bring in the dollars. So.
Yeah. I mean, the record, like, or the music industry as a whole is like, if you're not Chaperone or whoever the newest pop sensation is, like, you're kind of fucked at this point. So I kind of get it.
Yeah.
It's progress.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So I mean, you guys are in like those bigger markets. Is it like a? I always hear like, DC or Atlanta or Nashville or Austin. They're like, they don't want the transplants. Is that kind of a thing?
I mean, a big thing in Atlanta is like, which has kind of become a meme, is like we're full. Not to say that like there aren't rad transplants that come here. Like there definitely are, but the infrastructure itself is not built for as many people that live in the metro as they do today. And so,
I hear you.
Yeah, like,
it's wild. It's wild how much Atlanta has changed. Just
totally.
left. I mean, it's a whole different city. It's crazy.
I mean, there's certain things about it, like in the music scene, it's like one of my favorite periods that I've been a part of and like been around. There's still, there's an amazing art scene. Like there's all this incredible stuff happening, but then, I'll drive a place that I haven't been in a month and I'm like, oh, fuck, they started building condos here. Great. And the condos are not like affordable in the least bit. So a lot of that shit.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's everywhere. That's every
but
city.
then, but also, and I don't mean to, I won't go on a big soapbox, but like downtown Atlanta is so fucking cool and could be so cool, and no one gives a shit about doing anything with it. So it's like mostly barren or like just a bunch of stuff from like, that have sat in disrepair for so long that it's, I don't know. It bums me out because downtown could be so sick and nobody puts any effort into it.
Yeah, we
Well, it's
kind of have
because
the
it's
same vibe, honestly. But
well,
yeah,
it's
we don't have
that's
that problem.
Baltimore
We'll
too.
take your transplants. Come to St. Louis. It's great.
Probably way cheaper than most other places or a lot of other places.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we got 4 seasons. If you're
Yeah.
not the hotel. Well, I guess we have one of those, but we're talking about style or what have you. We do have 4 distinct seasons, which I think that's kind of a nice little perk about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I will say, I think that's kind of DC's biggest downside is that there are a ton of transplants here, and for the most part, people don't stay. I mean, I've had so many friends over the years who are here and then stay for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and then peace out and go somewhere else.
Right.
And I mean, maybe that's a big factor in the whole locals versus not thing. But man, yeah, DC a ton of transplants, and especially as like administrations change, the city resets itself, right? And I mean, I moved up here in 2012, and it seems like just before that, kind of like when Obama came into office, like DC started to be a cool city again. But like DC lacks, I think, a lot of like the I'm not gonna say charm because I don't know if that's fair, but a lot of like the charm, for lack of a better term, that like the other cities have, like Atlanta, right? I mean, like it's grown so much and it's changed since I moved here that it's really starting to feel like its own kind of vibe now. But before that, I don't think it was as much
Very
of a cool place to
gray.
be.
Yeah. So do we want to do the fit check? I mean, we can edit this if you don't want to. That's fine. I'm
What
not
are you trying
worried
to say,
about it.
Connor?
Well, I'm trying to say that you look like shit, both of you.
Thanks. Really appreciate that. Leave that part in. Leave the video out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to edit any of this out. We're fast and loose here. What about your first clothing memory? I mean, have you sharpened your answers for this?
My connection just dropped there. What'd you say?
The first clothing memory. Because I remember your answer.
Jinkos? Was that my answer?
I thought you were talking about tailoring at a young age.
I don't know. I think it may have been maybe. I don't know. I feel like mine was Jinkos. Not like it's funny listening back to all your other podcasts. Not like the giant, like massive ones, but like in middle school, I was just old enough to start like doing my own thing in terms of style, and that's when like the Jinkos and all that stuff was really big, and like the skating era. So like I think that was it for me. And granted, it was a very short lived era for me. But I had a sweet pair of black corduroy Jinkos.
Oh, I remember. I'm pretty sure I remember that exact model.
And so that's like one of the big things that stands out for me. Like at least like my earliest memory, and then like if you're talking about like in like my kind of adult period, I don't know. My dad retired like right before I graduated from college, and I remember him giving me a bunch of his like old work stuff, and I didn't really realize it at the time, but he gave me a pair of Aldens that were like the broad cap toe Oxfords, and that kind of got like the itch for me for like nicer shoes. So that was a big one as well.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, I was in the same Jinko camp. Like my parents would not allow me to buy the massive ones, So I could only get the whatever inch bottom that looked mostly like a normal pant, but also like probably fit about the same as like the Carhartt pants that I wear today.
I didn't even know that there were different cuts on jean coats.
Oh yeah,
It
there
was
were
all
some that were
like
like 100
covering your shoes.
there were some that were like 45 inches, around or maybe bigger. I don't
So
know.
those are the big boys.
Yeah, those are the big boys, the like new metal looking ones.
Yeah. That's all I remember. Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me get those either. I think I wore like Arizona Jean Co. Carpenter jeans or something.
Well, they're like, it's like so insane clown posse. It's like so, it says so much.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't know what you could do about wearing them.
They're one of those things
not
that are now
ironically.
like hip in the vintage world that I just refuse to buy and sell. Like I could make.
I don't think
good
it goes
money
with your
off of them
aesthetic, man.
if I.
I'm trying to channel the logo. Like, wasn't it like a little cartoon guy?
Yeah, they had multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were like the kangaroo ones that had like a kangaroo sticking out of the pocket.
Oh
Do
my
you
god!
remember World
man,
Industries?
wow.
Those little guys. I mean, everything seemed to have a little guy on it, and I loved the little guys.
Yeah, I think I wore just like a lot of like. I mean, obviously, growing up in the '90s, Sambas, like Umbro, and one starter
Yeah,
jackets,
Allen Iverson
Adidas
dude.
jackets.
Yeah, there was an Umbro outlet in Alabama that I was like obsessed with because I played soccer too, as like a 12 or 14-year-old or something. But like, whenever you had a pair of those on, it was like, yeah, dude, I feel cool.
Yeah. I had a badass one that was like World Cup '94.
Oh yes.
And like they had a little guy, or it was a dog, I think.
Yeah, it was a dog.
Like the
That's
dog
some of the
was
best
number.
branding that I can think of in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, if you could uncover one of those mint right now, that's like probably $500.
Yeah, it's probably expensive. Dan, so what was, aside from Umbros and Sambas, what was your first clothing memory?
I mean, aside from that stuff, like early on, I think like probably early high school, like the first items that like I remember like saving up to buy for myself would probably be like your, and I know they're like huge resurgence right now, but probably like your Birkenstock Boston or the standard North Face Denali, the black on black.
Yes.
Those are like, I mean, those are like,
or there's the black on gray
staples, I
too.
guess.
So I mean, you really can't go wrong. But yeah, that's like when I was in like early aughts to mid aughts. I think that was the move right there. Like the Birks, slightly bootcut jeans with the Denali jacket. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
And like New Balance 574s.
Yeah.
Which honestly is like not a bad, like
It's
you're
not
gonna
bad.
look at a bell curve and you're gonna say, all right, that's kind of my middle ground. Like that's probably not a bad place to be.
Right. Totally.
It's funny what this conversation brings back because I definitely had a pair of Birkenstock Bostons. I had a pair of like Nike Cortez. I had the Adidas. What are the clam toes? The Superstars.
Yeah. Superstar.
Oh yeah.
So ugly.
That's where the Fred Durst. Right?
I mean, this would have been like 01, 02, 03.
I just hate the shell toe. I think it's so it's like so bulbous. It's like hideous.
Yeah. I was talking a couple of days ago to some friends, and like in the like the hardcore scene that I was a part of in this time period, like those Steve Madden sneakers, the ones that like looked vaguely Italian and kind of like chunky
Designer
in a way, designer, and also the knockoffs that like you could go to Payless and pay like $15 for were so huge, and then the like Saucony Jazz.
That's what Boldy James says. Like
those are still great though.
They look like Skechers, but they something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
They do look like Skechers.
I will shit on anything Saucony because I love that. that brand and design. Like they
I
hold
think
up.
they're pretty classic.
Yeah. The Steve Madden sneaker from that time period is like we should have burned them with fire. That's how bad they were.
Yeah, the jazz are good, and then the shadow I still
Yeah, the
think are
Shadow's great. The
they're better.
Courageous has always been my favorite.
What words are you saying?
Saucony Jazz,
Oh, I see.
Saucony Shadow, and Saucony Courageous.
Yeah. This guy I was in college with, he and I would always joke about making this blog about shoes called Surprised It's Not Supra. And they would be ugly shoes that were not Supras. That was our plan.
You can still start it. That
We
sounds
did
like could be a
we
Tumblr.
did. Yeah, we did. It was on Tumblr and then it was gone. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Indeed.
It could be a resurgence of like that aughts era blog stuff. That would be like super funny.
I mean, if
I think we're close, right?
If the nostalgia cycle continues as rapidly as it has ramped up to be, we ain't more than a couple of years out of it.
Yeah. Well, did you guys see that? Maybe Matt, you saw, because I know you're like kind of in the indie rock. The Cindy Lee Diamond Jubilee release was on geocities.com.
That's fucking amazing.
Oh my god, no, and it's an incredible record, and like that was you can get it on YouTube now, but I think when it was released, like you could only stream it via GeoCities, and it was like legit like pixelated, like
when websites were good,
X page, like hometown.aol type,
right,
like,
right,
just like the
rudimentary,
rudimentary website ever. So it's still out there. So I'll send you guys the link.
Yes, please do.
Check the record out. It's great.
All right, so you guys run a pretty popular Discord. I'm gonna go ahead and preface this with saying I've used Discord once and it kind of intimidates me, but you are the Weejawnz. So how did that come about?
Do we still have John? Because he is frozen on my.
I'm sitting here deep in
he was thinking deeply about how to do it, how to do the inception.
The long and the short of it is, so for anybody on Reddit, right? So there's always been the male fashion advice community, but there was a smaller Ivy community called Navy Blazer that was always still pretty antiquated and rigid, despite Dan and I's best efforts to kind of reshape it. And we wanted to start something that was more, I don't know, I like to call it like Ivy without borders, right? I mean, there's been so much going on with Ivy lately in the past few years that it's really trying to capture how Ivy style, incorporates other styles like Milsurp and Americana and stuff like that, but also the inverse of that, right? Like other styles that capture Ivy style, and to find a way to have a spot for the less rigid Ivy folks to kind of have a home. I think with that being said, we still have those of us that are more, hardcore traditional Ivy, and those of us that are less Ivy, right? And I think you've had a few guests on who are on the Discord. And so, yeah, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, it's really to have a place to talk about, Ivy in a contemporary sense, but we have a ton of Ivy nerds that, can talk about, we'll have conversations on like the different Shetland sweaters and Oxford cloth shirts and what the best things are there. So it's just kind of I don't know. It's what I've always kind of wanted on the internet as a home for myself, in terms of style, that's, more open to new thoughts in terms of Ivy, but also still a bit more boring, I think you could say, than other places are.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think John's done a great job with like kind of curating like the channels and just really the infrastructure of the thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a place to hang out, honestly, on the internet if you're interested in, like really any type of men's style that's somewhat adjacent to Ivy. And I think like John and I have similar tastes, but like I've kind of gotten a little bit more like a gorpy granola, like Milsurp to an extent. So like just, like if, Ivy's kind of like your you know, your base aesthetic, like what else can you do to kind of freshen that up or make it less stuffy. So, and then like there's just a ton of like wealth of knowledge too, like,
Right.
yeah, as John said, it's just like easy to hop in there and
And there's
yeah.
an Instagram, which I think is good,
Yeah.
Yeah, well then I forget
right?
what I
I
guess
think
we
the
started the
Instagram is
Discord
cool. I mean,
first.
when the posts of I don't know, like Ivy from various media, it's like that's nice to see.
So
Like,
Yeah,
that's
you
I
guys
also
are
mean,
doing something right.
Dan
it's,
is the rock star. So for anybody listening to this,
Whoa.
the Weejawnz account story feed, I think, is one of the best spots on Instagram if you're remotely into Ivy style. And Dan
Or
does.
anything. Like,
Yeah. I mean, right? It's funny because like anytime I'm like cycling through my stories, I'll get to the Weejawnz account. And I'm like, damn, that's a good fit. Damn, that's a good fit. I'm like, oh shit, it's Weejawnz. Okay, it's Dan. Um, that's like the highlight for me at least. And
that's that's the word I was going to use. I didn't know which one of you it was.
yeah,
well,
it's Dan.
I will say like we really. I mean, maybe John feels differently, but we have like no playbook on running this thing. It's kind of
And you
just
I
weren't going
mean,
to say
you're
shit, were
talking to the
you?
right fucking people because Connor and I also have no playbook on running this. It's just kind of like, okay, we're doing this thing
It's
that
guess
we,
and test. It's like
yeah,
trial
like,
and error.
no, I'm not saying that like we don't put in work to make Apocalypse Duds happen. And I just referred to the show in the third person. I'm not about that. But like, yeah, we're not trying,
As real as you make it.
yeah, we're a DIY process with two people that just have an interest in what we do and try to do it to the best of our ability, and we both have actual full-time lives. So
yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's kind of like a medium to share like photos that we think are cool, and then like trying to be topical with it a little bit as well. I mean, like, you know, obviously you got, you know, some seasonality of, you know, bringing in different elements as the seasons change, but then like also, yeah, like what's going on the internet today? Like, can you find a fit that's like, you know, going somewhat viral for, you know, or can you find an image that's going viral for some other reason and just apply and be like, actually, this kind of kicks ass because of, you know, XYZ. So like we've done that a couple times, and that's kind of like the fun aspect of just being creative. And like we had the one dude in New York City who had like the most plain vanilla fit of like an Oxford and like 6 inch inseams, and then we had one of our guys Photoshop like the sporadic tattoos, the dad hat, the mustache. And I was like, holy shit! Like it just looked like so like it just became so relevant out of nowhere. It was nuts. So it's just like fun stuff like that. I mean, with some, you know, good-hearted shit posting. So.
yeah, of course, everyone loves a good-hearted shit post.
Yeah, I'd love to do more with it, but I mean, Dan and I obviously both have full time jobs, and we're both dads, so it's hard to do more. And I know you guys have kind of talked about this in the past with other guests, but it's fun to share the knowledge you've acquired over the years with others, right? I mean, you may not agree with all of my opinions, like my thoughts on guilty tassels.
Right.
I've got a lot of stupid knowledge that I can share, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun to engage with people, right? And I mean, circling back to the Discord, I think that's the highlight of the Discord is that it's a good place to engage with others to talk
Yeah.
about stuff.
Teaching is
And,
great.
and those
Yeah.
spaces, like, not to be all like, doomerist or whatever, but those spaces have disappeared in a lot of ways, and like,
Totally.
not everyone has adapted, from the forum and blog period to now,
Including us.
including us. I mean, we try, but like I also, like the thought of going onto a message board at this point in my life, I'm just like, nah, I'm good, thanks.
Because it'd be an ad every few posts,
Talk to me through like responding to my Instagram stories or like sending me stupid ass memes. And that's
Yeah, and every community develops its own culture, and a lot of them devolve into circle jerks.
yeah.
For lack of a better term, right? And I mean, some of them, you end up with like a very much like an insider and outsider perspective, and that was one of my complaints with some of the Reddit communities before the protests kind of happened and really destroyed those, right? I mean, it's kind of inevitable to a certain degree.
Weirdly, the majority is not often the right opinion.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I mean, it's fun to have a good space where I think our only firm rule is don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a great rule to live by.
right. I
That
mean, it's really it's a really low bar. But yeah, I mean, you develop a good sense of community, and no matter what you're talking about, whether it's clothes or stupid parenting shit or what somebody's up to on the weekend.
Oh, and that's like really cute that there's like parents discussion there. I
It's
mean, you guys are. I just
it's
love it. I think it's
It's
great.
great, right? But like, it's cool because we've been able to bring on so many different people, right? Like Oxford Cloth Button Down is on there. Zach, I mean, Leon Dad is on there. And it's fun. It's fun to go out and like find people who I can kind of like appreciate something in their style and be like, hey, we've got this stupid thing going on. You should come join us.
yeah.
And it's cool.
Something I've seen a lot of on like Twitter recently is, and I guess this has been a discussion for a while, but like, living, quote unquote, living online is not like living in real life. And a lot of the rebuttals that I've seen from my little ecosystem that I've constructed are like we're real alive people and we're talking to other people that have similar interests on the internet. Like it's as real as making a friend at school or whatever the fuck.
Definitely. And I think too, in the post-pandemic world, it feels like so much has changed in terms of like day-to-day life that like a lot of times it's easier, and I think a part of that is also just entering parenthood. It's easier to have those kind of communities where even though I can't go meet up with friends after work for a beer or whatever, I can still shoot the shit with somebody.
Right. And a lot of interests are so niche that it's like even in a city like Atlanta or DC or Baltimore, like how do you find the people that are interested in the same
Well, in
shit as
DC,
you?
you could only find 2 or 3 well-dressed people.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying across, like in a general sense, like
Yeah, no, I know. There's no friend app. I mean, there's no like
Right.
it doesn't work.
can we get like a friend like Bumble style app for menswear dorks or clothing dorks in general? And like, I guess that kind of sounds like what a lot of us Weejawnz and whatnot are trying to do.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've hung out with the Brima a couple of times here in DC. I mean, that's the other thing, right? I mean, there's a handful of us that are in DC, and Connor, we still got to get you down one day. But I mean, we can have a meetup and shoot the shit and say what's up.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of envious of the DC and then the NYC guys and the Alfargo's guys. It's like, man, it's like the only place I really can like dress up is like go to a show, honestly, which is kind of
That callers.
counterintuitive. But like, yeah, it's like you go to a show at a theater. It's like I'd rather wear a sports coat there than try to like shoehorn that into a dinner or something. It's just like
Right. Yeah, it's
It's
not
nice
as
to have
easy.
and it's different to be observed by people who know what you have done. It's like to have your stuff appreciated by people who do likewise is really important.
The daycare pickup line is always a funny spot. It's like especially in the morning, right? Because like some days, I'd have a good fit on, and some days it's normal. But you always kind of think to yourself, like, these other parents looking at you like you're crazy because I mean they don't understand like the context of what you're doing and any of that other stuff. But like there was always one other dad who always had some killer fits in my daycare's pickup line, and I'd be like, yeah, I got you, dude. I like that.
Do you come here often?
Yeah.
I say that kind of shit all the time. It's just no one ever likes.
The daycare pickup line friend connections.
That's
Right. Right.
I saw one dude actually on my kid's last day of daycare. One of the new dads was wearing a J Press hat, and I really wanted to say something to him, but I didn't have the chance to.
Ah, yes, misconnections.
That's right.
So what drew you guys to Ivy in the first place?
I think we chatted about this last time. I don't think I really had a great answer, and I don't know if I really do, other than like I think the first time I just kind of said like via osmosis. It's just like growing up in the 90s or whatever. I mean, that's just kind of what like parents wore. If you look back at old movies, it was like, oh, tweed sports coat or chinos or loafers or what have you. So I don't know.
It's
Like I
familiar.
definitely
That's
didn't.
part of the pitch is that it's really familiar.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's like it's elements that are comfortable to you.
I don't think that like I certainly didn't like really grow up in that environment. So um I was thinking more about it, and like I don't know, I somehow kind of came through it, and my at least my hypothesis is like kind of I guess through music is what I would say. Like, at least that's going to be my take on this. Just kind of like going back to the aughts or whatever. Like like if you think about some of your mall brands or whatever, and whether that's like Hollister, A&F, or whatever, it's like, all right, well, maybe I was listening to a lot of like Phantom Planet or something corporate or something, and wearing flip flops and like the frayed brim hat or what have you, and then like kind of progress into college, and it's like, all right, well, maybe I'm listening to like like the Walkman or Spoon or Vampire Weekend. It's like, oh, okay, here are the boat shoes, and then here's the Levi's or like the Oxford shirt, and then like just kind of over time, it just developed, and I think like pre-pandemic and probably mid 2010s, at least for me, that's when I was like really thrifting a lot and like finding a lot of cool pieces, and it's like you really can't. It's like you find like a Brooks 3.5 with tie. It's like you can't wear that, with like a J. Crew Ludlow 2 3/4 slim jacket, or you can't wear it with like 510. So I think just again over time you just kind of developed, and it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna switch this out for maybe 501s, or I'm getting rid of the boat shoes. I'm gonna go loafers. So I don't know that it just kind of snuck up on me to an extent. I don't know if that's a better answer than the osmosis, but that's kind of what I was, like,
There's some truth to it.
brainstorming about, and I think that's just kind of like what happened. And like now I'm a little bit out on. I wouldn't say I'm out on Ivy, but like again, just kind of maybe a little bit more into like the granola or I really kind of like a lot of the milsurp type fits that we're seeing now. So I don't know. Yeah, things change. So I mean, I think that's probably what draws a lot of people to the Ivy style. It's like that can be your base, but then you can kind of pivot into other areas as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that like that's an important aspect of the kind of like clothing landscape right now, is that like you don't just have to be one thing, and you can incorporate multiple vibes and pieces that are fuck. I use pieces.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
hate that term, but you can incorporate multiple garments into something that like you kind of make yours.
Right? Yeah, 100%.
John, what about you?
I mean, I kind of grew up with it to a certain degree, right? I mean, I would say my family is.
Your dad gave you a pair of Altons, so yeah, you might have been a little predisposed.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, my it's funny though, because like growing up, so my dad and my uncle both worked at like menswear stores when they were in college back in like the '60s, and my dad worked at Brooks Brothers. But like, I remember talking to him one day, asking him if he knew what like a 3-2 blazer was, and he looked at me like I had a third eye. He had no idea.
Yeah.
Right, which is a whole different conversation, but no, I mean, I always kind of grew up with it. I never saw my dad really in like sport coats and stuff like that, just because I think in the South it's just too hot in general. But it's funny looking back, because like my dad has always been, I think, very devoted to like the polo Andrew pants, and I think a lot of my style these days is reflected in what he wore, even though he never really wore like Oxfords casually. I remember coming home one day wearing one and like a pair of denim, and he's like, "Why are you wearing a dress shirt with jeans?" And I remember being like, "Well, it's not a dress shirt; it's a casual shirt or whatever." And he was like, "Just stop." But no, I mean,
My mom said that same shit to me, and she like is clueless.
Actually, it's a sports shirt, Dad.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't understand, but back in the '60s when you were in college students were wearing this casually.
Right,
No,
right.
I mean, it was always kind of there for me, right? And I went to Georgia as an SEC school, and I was in Greek life there, so it's always been, kind of Ivy or trad or whatever you want to call it. But it's always been a bit of a push and pull at times. I've got a crunchier side to me these days, and it's always kind of been there. I'm kind of a hippie at heart, I think.
Yeah. Which also kind of tracks with you going to UGA. No offense.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, I've always had a pair of Chacos and stuff like that. It's
also, you're really lucky that you missed the Peter Millar era of
Yeah.
Frat Bro,
Big time.
because
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah, I
The
was there
Burgerverse.
just at the start of it, where everybody was really starting to wear like the Nike Game Day polos, which I still have a couple because they're great when it's 100 degrees with 95% humidity and
Right.
are trying to survive. But yeah, I mean, I think there's also a bit of me that's also kind of rejected that side of my family. I mean, like one of my earliest clothing memories is like black Jinkos. And so it's always been a bit of a pushback. And I think that's kind of how I've ended up where I am today. And Dan, to your point, I've noticed over the last like year or so, I think I've kind of strayed more from like the traditional Ivy stuff that I've been wearing for the most part of my life, and finding other cooler things in ways that I can incorporate it, but it still feels like me. And my wife always gives me a hard time for wearing like distressed jeans in high school. Jeans with like the paint splatter and holes in them, but like I still have
the
a new
double
pair of those
knees.
Levi's today.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I mean, right? I mean, you kind of you learn things as time goes on, and then for me, a lot of it is also I sent you guys a message in the Instagram chat that you'll have to take a look at. I think you'll appreciate. And I can find like a lot of my style in what I was wearing in high school and college, but I like to think and hope that it's a better version of what it was back then.
Wait,
And
that's you?
what's that?
That's you?
That's me.
Oh, now I have to
Wow,
look at
dude.
holy shit.
Right. I mean, if you take the pieces in isolation, it's really not too different. I'm wearing like a Patagonia snap tee, a pair of wash Levi's, and kilty loafers.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like it's
right,
funny because you could tell, but
right.
it's like
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
like
A lot of
an
that-
adult. You look
that
like an
thread
adult
is still
now.
there.
You've
But
learned
it's
what a
also-
good break is.
That's right. And those are, I think, were cut on one side to fit over my boots.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's just right. But I mean, like those are the fun things to like look back on. And I've got a picture of me wearing like Andrew pants from like the early 2000s. But you kind of learn the language of your style, I think, as you get more into it, and you learn. For me, at least, that was the interesting part, right? It's like learning that language, learning what the pieces are, learning about 3/2s and stuff like that, and then kind of finding a way to incorporate it into my stuff. I mean, I think that's a very long-winded answer.
No, it's great. That's what this show is all about. We're windbags, both me and Connor.
Surely. Beautiful.
So you guys are, if no one has picked up on it at this point, you're pretty anonymous, both of you. So is that, Connor and I were both wondering, is that like a professional thing, or you guys are obviously Weejawnz is pretty pretty well known amongst us nerds, but we don't know a whole lot about you. John, you never really seem to show your face, etc.
Yeah, I've started relaxing that a little bit. I think part of it is being an older millennial, and like I think you like growing up with the internet, like anonymity on the internet was always big and important. So I think that was it for a while. I've stopped caring as much lately because I mean it really doesn't matter at all. So yeah, but I mean it's also when I post on Instagram or whatever, it's more for me than anything else. So I don't really prioritize being known. It's just a good way to kind of catalog things.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I think John's a little bit more well known than I am. Like at least his public style account. Like mine is private. Like I don't have a style account at all. Like my Instagram is like photos of my kids and stuff. So
Yeah, which I also understand.
so I mean, there's that. There's it's that to a degree, but then it's also just like like I like like finding the photos and like curating and putting them together, but like I don't know, I just
I'm really
don't.
surprised that it's you.
I don't have like I will say my wardrobe, and like I don't know, like my wife would probably disagree, but like I just don't think I have that great of a wardrobe, if I'm being honest. Like
It's
so,
funny,
like,
dude. You got to get out there. It's like you do. It's like you have the eye. Like you just have to get out there.
so yeah, I mean, like if I put something
But I'm
that's
telling
like
Daryl
fairly
Cole.
decent, like I will drop it, in the Discord, and I think I've loosened up on the, showing the face and then whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's
We're not trying to unmask you.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's curious,
It
right?
was just
Because
something
it's
we were
hard to
curious.
be
Yeah.
anonymous.
I
The
think
other
it's almost
thing,
like I have a better eye of like what other people are doing than necessarily like doing it myself, maybe to a degree. Yeah, if there's truth in that, but I don't know. I don't have like I'm not the king of the Alden loafers. It's like
I was supposed
nobody
to
wants
say,
to see my Allen Edmonds Patriots that are all scuffed up from wearing them to the office. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing, though, Dan, is that there are weirdos on the internet. And for anybody who ever posted a loafer picture on Reddit, there's a dude, right?
I talked
Yeah,
to this guy so many times. Your feet sweaty.
right.
Your feet sweaty.
Like,
That's wait. Zach is
Yes,
all.
Matt.
Is it the
Yes,
same?
dude.
Is it the same? Like people like or
yeah,
Person.
it's the same dude. Yeah, and like
Jesus
the
Christ.
handful of us, like the regulars that from like back in the Reddit days, everybody's had an experience with this person. And like every like 3 months, somebody will post like a chain being like, "Yo, this dude's asking me if I like to wear socks in my loafers. Like, has anybody else run into this?" And everybody's like, "I know this dude."
I love that you wear those LL Bean Mark lows. I
Thank
have a pair
fuck.
myself.
Holy shit! I've never been more thankful to not really be a Reddit person than I
Yeah,
am
dude,
in
he
this
hit me on
moment.
Instagram. He was like,
Yeah,
I love your
yeah,
outfits, but I
yeah,
love your shoes.
yeah.
just
So
hit him with that
Not
feet
to
finder.
kink shame, but it's like not cool, dude. You can't
I mean,
like.
it's proof that there's a fetish for literally anything.
yeah, which
Well,
I
it's
mean,
not like feet are like out there. Like
Well, no, I'm talking about the loafer and the sock thing. Like, that inherently, in my mind, has no sexual appeal whatsoever. No,
I would call it a foot fetish.
no,
Though.
I mean, it is a foot fetish, but it's like a subcategory of a foot fetish.
yeah, and I told the dude, I'm like, look, man, you do you, but like, you can't go hitting up people asking them about their like sweaty feet and loafers. Like, you can't impose whatever your thing is on others, right? Like, you got to have consent there that's mutual, and like, stop asking me if I'm wearing socks in my loafers.
This might be the most random place that this podcast has ever gone in a interview.
Well, this is why there's anonymity on the internet.
True.
He's
Right?
going
Like,
in
what
my
if you find out
novel,
that
I'm
dude lives in
sure.
DC?
Yeah.
You can find my link to my only lasts account in the description of this episode.
Only last, yeah.
Yeah.
Your header is just the Alden last like image that's been on the internet forever.
It's been forever.
Yeah, and then you can just like do sexy videos of your voice over like an Edward Green one, and a Boss one, and a Crockett and
Okay.
Jones one.
Here we are, everyone.
Like and subscribe.
Jesus Christ, I am so sorry. This went
6:11 p.m. and
this went
I
fucking
don't know if the
south.
show's dead, but
Yeah, we're gonna get canceled for talking shit on this dude that loves loafers and socks. I don't know.
You know what's funny though
that
is,
would
is
be
I bet
actually
you
very
there's-
funny.
I bet you there's at least one person listening to this who has run into that person on the internet somewhere.
Right. Yeah, thank.
See,
Jesus.
I thought I was fucking special.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no, of
no.
course, that's the lesson you learn.
You all just have the world's worst reply guy in your DMs constantly.
Yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah, no, I've started to care less about anonymity, to bring us back on track.
To bring us back on track. Yeah. Well, shit, man. It's been super fun. Definitely gonna have to have you guys back on for part 2 or more in the near
Part
future.
6.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Good.
technically 2, realistically 6.
I'll be sure to come with a better fit next time.
No, you're good, man. I'm jealous of the hair, if I'm being honest. So,
Thank you.
but yeah, we always like to give the guests a chance to shout out whatever they would like, their Instagram accounts, their Discords that they run, etc., etc. Not leading you into anything, but yeah, both of you give us your shout outs.
Check us out on Weejawnz with a Z on Instagram. Shoot us a message. I know it's mostly a mood board account, but we love to chat. So if you have any questions or thoughts, hit us up. My personal account is Leisurely Loafing.
Nice. And if you've made it this far, you will see that these dudes are great chatters.
Very cool. I will shout out my buddy's band. Shout out to Dave and Ian. Their band is called Squint. You can find them on Instagram, Squint STL. They are actually currently abroad right now, so kind of doing their first European tour. So I don't know if they're in they started in Paris, or they might probably play in the UK or Prague. But if you're into hardcore, kind of a tinge of shoegaze and 90s alt rock,
All right, yeah,
give them a listen. And they've got some new singles that are pretty fun. So Squint.
nice.
That's
I'm gonna listen to this probably right after we get out of here because I totally forgot to from the first time we did this interview.
nice.
Yeah. But
Yeah, give it a spin.
I'll give it a spin, and it sounds like it's going to be up my alley, so I'll probably share it on my Instagram stories too.
All right, right on.
Hell yeah.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Squint STL. Also, just personally, I like that STL and ATL are pretty easy, city names. Maybe that's why I've always liked St. Louis. I don't know.
I hate the Cardinals though.
Dude, so I had a bunch of family that were from there, and
I hate them right now too. But
I mean, yeah, like I hate the Braves or the Falcons most of the time because they're.
Is that self-loathing or do you?
Atlanta is. I mean, as you're aware, John, like we're choke artists, so I'm not a big sports person at this point. But you always get to, or almost always get disappointed with Atlanta sports teams. So
You would think that I would like sports more because I love to be disappointed.
Yeah,
So
it's true. It is true.
Matt, I turned off the Falcons game last night with like 4 minutes left.
What was the last time I was like I went to a show and some friends were watching it on the patio of the venue, and it was like 15-10 Falcons in like the third quarter. That was the last time I saw. What was the final score?
This is like 22-21, I think.
I'm sorry. There's a pair of Alan Edmonds kilties in Facebook Marketplace right now. They're black bottoms though, which I like.
Well, no, so hang on, wait. Do they have like the bow on them? Are they like tied or are they like tassels?
I don't want to click it. Oh, they're tassels. Yeah.
Okay, no, those are good ones. The tied ones are fine as well. I like them both.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those things Connor sends me at some point in the near future, and I'm just like, please no.
That's good. You'll say no and he'll buy it.
Yeah, exactly. you know the deal.
That's right.
Anyway, y'all, thanks.
Just like a child.
All right, yeah.
Thanks
you guys
one more
so
time.
Much. It was good catching up with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. And
yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Hell yeah.
And no one is going to jinx it, but I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I dropped a lot.
No, it was good though. You were not really talking, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. I think we're solid. But
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. We are at Apocalypse Duds on Instagram, apocalypseduds@gmail.com. If you would like to send us a straight email, it'd be cool. Just tell us to shut the fuck up or compliment us. We don't really care. We just want to email. I am Matt Smith at Rebels Rogues.
And I'm Connor Fowler at Connor Flower.
And we will see you soon.
Toodaloo.
All right, peace.